Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Rick. Today I'm going to be talking about cost overrun, and it's probably a lot of us would think it's an issue, but in my opinion, it's more of a manageable risk rather than an issue. Does anybody know where this is? This is actually the Port Mann Bridge. A lot of us use this every day, and this would be a really classic example of cost overrun. Let's look at the balance sheet of this project. According to the federal, actually provincial report, the Portman Bridge is facing a 13% surplus on cost when you compare its 2009 budget versus the 2017 one. Um, well, that would and that is $323 million. Uh, you might say, okay, 13% is not that much. Let's put that into perspective. So if you can see the building on the left here, it is a modular home social housing project in downtown Eastside Vancouver that cost $3 million to build, and house 40 family. Um, and the Portman Bridge surplus is equal 108 buildings like that. So we will be housing over 40,000 family with the same amount of surplus that we spent on the Portman Bridge. I guess we just found a solution to solve our housing crisis in Vancouver. Well, all joke aside, I want to talk more about the scope of our discussion here. What is a cost overrun? A cost overrun is the amount by which the actual expenditure exceed the planned amount, regardless of who bearing the burden of the cost escalation. Um, so, in this presentation, we'll be looking at cost overrun outside of the contract context. So, for example, we are not looking at, let's say, an owner hire a GC to do the project, but there's a cost escalation on the owner side because the GC raised a couple of change order. Then to the GC, there's no cost overrun because the owner absorbed all of the cost. However, the kind of cost overrun that we're looking at in this presentation, we will look at it objectively outside of the project context, and we will say that okay, the whole project will cost more money regardless who is absorbing the cost. Um, well, in my opinion, as I said before, cost overrun is not an issue, but a really natural risk created by how we do contract in a capitalistic society. Um, well, on theory though, risk of cost overrun would be able to be mitigated by some project management technique, which I will talk about later, and depend on what causes the cost overrun and the complexity of the project. Uh, but is close to impossible to avoid them, and there's a reason for it. Well, reason one, the way we measure cost overrun is using our own currency. We use the currency as a benchmark to measure cost overrun, and that is a faulty system by design, since currency by design is a inflationary benchmark, meaning that um, the value of the currency will decrease over time regardless of whatever project you're running. So, for example, $1 billion in 2009 is gonna be um, $1,144 million in 2017, which is a big difference. That's a 14% difference we're looking at. Putting it back into the Portman Bridge example, if we calculated the cost in 2017 in 2009 number or 2009 dollar value, we are not even looking at a cost overrun at all. We have $24 million in saving since we are spending a less amount of money according to 2009 standard. That would be really confusing because a benchmark is supposed to be stable and not fluctuate a lot, and that is why a lot of the cost overrun that we have is exaggerated by inflation or the instability of the currency, and that is not something that we can avoid when running projects. Reason two is obviously unforeseeable condition, or I call it the unknown unknown. Um, give you guys an example. Due to COVID-19, material costs increase according to a report from the Associated Builder and Contractor. Structural metal 54%, iron and steel 69%, crude petroleum 84%, lumber 36%, siding 36%, concrete 23%, plumbing fixture and fitting 16%. And we can predict that unless any of us here are prophet and they have magical power to know what's going on in the future. Unless we have the magical power, there's no way any project team will be able to predict that, oh, the cost is gonna go up. That's why we have to pump up the cost before we start a project. It's just unknown. It's something that we can't deal with, and that is one of the characteristic of construction project. Since construction project usually spend a long time, and there's no really meaningful way to predict what's going to happen to the material market, labor market, real estate market. Well, and we have reason number three. There's no benchmark to do quality control on the trade's quote. So for GC, we get our pricing from our quote, from the quote from our trade, right? And and there's no one practical way to QC a trade's quote. I mean, you can verify the scope of work, you can make sure the scope of works cover the whole drawing. Um, you can do a bit recap, but at the end of the day, you don't know. Uh, since you are not the trade expert. Even if you are a trade expert, when there's a two context applied to a project, they might price differently. For example, this is a project that I personally bid on. One of my contractor is telling me it costs 15,500, and the other one is near $40,000. That is more than two times of the price, and I can tell you they are covering the same scope, exactly the same scope. So how do you QC that? There's no way unless you are an electrician, right? And that's the other reason that why cost overrun is not something that we can avoid, but we will have to employ some technique to deal with it. Um, So, some impact of cost overrun. You might be surprised. There is actually positive impact on cost overrun on a project. For example, inflating national GDP. GDP is the monetary value of final goods and service received by the end user. So, higher it costs to build something, meaning our nation as a whole has more GDP. More GDP meaning a harder market, a better stock market, better real estate market. Our value of land go up because of that, and that is a really a good impact from cost overrun. Also, there's gonna be more taxation income for the federal government because of GST. Since GST is called a good and service tax, they tax on every good and service provided in the country. More cost, meaning more money for the government to spend on infrastructure projects, bridges, and railway. More talent for other country, since everybody would want to join our workforce because our wages is up there because of cost overrun. More, it's gonna be longer project time span. We're gonna have people employed for a longer period of time for more money, which is a great thing as well. Also, cost overrun can teach a GC estimate better by adjusting their budget to the real cost. I actually have a GC company myself, and that's really true. Since uh, if you evaluate how much is spent on a job at the end of the job and at the end of the project, you learn a lot. You will be like, oh, next time when I estimate this item, I will put more budget in there since my budget when was overrun this time, then I can adjust my accuracy, make sure I still meeting that target profit margin. And also there will be more profit for the GC since a lot of cost overrun comes in from change order. Change order meaning there's more money for the GC, there's more profit, right? That would be the positive impact of cost overrun. And there's a negative impact. First of all, really high cost of living, and that is a major factor in play in Vancouver right now because of how expensive to build a home is. Um, I'll give you guys an example. I was building houses with like 250 square feet, 200 square feet, and now we're looking at like almost 300 of square feet for the project that I was doing, which is crazy. That's $50 per square feet increase, and as a developer, my old company was a developer. They have to charge more in the market. They have to ask for more money to counter that escalation in cost because they're not in a business to lose money. So the end user ended up spending more money on it. Second, less competitive on the global market. Looking from a global perspective, uh, international company would be like, huh, is like Canadian construction industry seem like they go over their budget quite a lot, and that is not a good thing because they're in here to make money. They don't want any construction project to go over their budget. They want to have construction project that's efficient and with no delay. And because of that, we will look less attractive to other market or other company. Broken trust in project teams. Since you're going over with costs, you will have to go to the owner and beg for more money. Um, Higher tax rate since we're gonna be spending more money on infrastructure project, meaning that we have to spend more money on the government will have to charge us more taxes to pay for those cost escalation when we're building bridges and road or maintaining buildings. Also promoting cutting corner, and that's a really great one since uh, a lot of the time as a developer or a GC. When cost escalation happen, I will try my best to make my trade absorb that. And when I do that, they will try to cut corner to recover the cost on their end. They will try to get stuff done half the time, or sending in, let's say, 2 workers to grind it out instead of 5 workers to get it done. That is a really big cost that people's not looking at since your quality will go straight down because you want to recover more cost from your trade. Well, cost and solution. Some cost overrun could be entirely avoided by employing technology or project management technique, depend on what cost or cost overrun where the cost overrun came from. Um, so here are some common causes that cause cost overrun. A natural cost, something that we can avoid. As I said before, inflation. We're using a inflationary benchmark. That's something that we can avoid, since we are using money to value to determine the value of the project. Unforeseeable condition, nobody can avoid that since nobody can see into the future. But the technical causes could be avoided in so many different ways. For example, premature procurement. That's a really big one since our industry is moving toward a direction that I don't think is pretty logical. They let out tender before any drawing is completed. They might put a 30% 30% complete drawing out in the market to tender it, and nobody will be able to figure out the real cost of building that stuff if nobody have enough information. Second, subpar consultants, and that happened a lot. I actually personally dealt with a lot of them. uh, you have consultants that don't know if something is buildable. It might look good on paper, but because it's not buildable, you ended up spending more time on it, and you have to invest more management time on it to make it right or help the consultant to get to that working detail. Third, uncoordinated contract document is a little bit connected with what I was talking about before, but this is more of even if you have competent consultant, if their drawing are not coordinated, meaning that let's say the mechanical guy doesn't talk to the electrical guy, you will have conduit running into duct or sprinkler head running into ductwork, stuff like that, and that costs a lot when you have to fix it on site, and that is also a really key contributor to cost overrun. an appropriate delivery model is another big one. A lot of delivery model actually promote cost overrun. For example, I think we talk about Royal Columbia Hospital. They proposed this progressive design build, which is, in my opinion, is promoting cost overrun. Since you are building something without design, and you're designing as you go, and there's no guaranteed maximum price, and there's no real incentive for the GC to get it done on time, on budget. So at the end of the day, they're in here for business. They want to make more money out of it, and and as a business owner, the most logical thing to do is to prolong the project as long as I could, because, or create more detail, or push high quality or high standard item or products for you to purchase, because for me that would be beneficial for me to get more profit out of you, and that would be a good example of a delivery model that promote cost overrun. So there are a couple of traditional solutions. First of them, contingency on the base budget, which is a really common estimating technique, or I would say practice. Well, what you do is you have your base estimate, you apply a contingency percentage on top, and there you go. You have your estimate. You base it onto how finished the drawing is. It could range from 0% all the way to 20%. And the pro of this is really simple, straightforward. Everybody can do it. I can put a 5% on, on a 20% complete drawing or whatever. It's really straightforward. But the real problem with this is it's just a number. You're taking an educated guess on how much risk you are taking on. You are lifting up the base contract price without a clear reason why, and you're doing it just because you are guessing that, oh, it could be 5%, or it could be 10%, or it could be 15%. Nobody know why is it 15%. It's just a common practice. That would be a really big problem with just adding a percentage of contingency on the base budget. Um, Traditional solution two, pre-construction services. Well, another really common thing, usually done with CCDC 5A contract. A really good benefit out of this is you can spot mistake easy, which could be really costly during construction. You can involve the GC in the design phase. You can engage your trade earlier. You can negotiate a better rate. You can leverage you can leverage them with awarding, since you are guaranteed them future work. However, you're tallying up your own senior staff because you need experienced people to do that. It's not like you just pull the kid out of engineering school, and they wouldn't be able to do that because they don't know how to build this stuff. You need somebody who actually know what they're doing, and also you could be wasting your trade's time and destroy your relationship because the trade could do all the pre-construction work and you ended up not using them, which is not a great look on your company. And yeah, that's the second one, pre-construction services. And the third one is a more advanced solution that I think could avoid the con from the other two solutions. BIM. Me as a Revit modeler myself, it's a great help when you're building really complex project. Uh, Pro, eliminate future possible mistake. Instead of doing pre-construction, getting somebody to physically to run through it with human brain, you actually model it out. You're building it on a computer. You will see what is running into what, which is a really great way to avoid mistake on site. And you can detect MEP conflict really easily, since you can see the duct and you can see the pipe. You can see where each thing go into each other, and it's really easy to coordinate as well. Since you have a 3D model, you can just spin it around for the site. It's, it's really straightforward. Everybody can understand it, and also you are forcing the project member to be involved in the design process, because usually the designer, the Revit modeler is from the contractor team, and you're forcing them to put input into the project and how it should go. However, it's really expensive, and you need somebody who know Revit or whatever BIM modeling software they use. You need somebody that knows this really well to execute it, which could be really expensive. Um, IPD, which Dominic talked about a couple of days ago, actually, really good pro. We limit the change order since in CCDC 30, which is the contract that lead to the IPD in Canada. They don't allow owner to issue change order outside of the general scope. So there is a limit to that. You emphasize on the productivity. You are more productive since everybody's working on a common goal instead of fighting each other for solution or a lot of unnecessary negotiation. Profit was shared by the team member, which is another great one since you're pushing everybody to finish the project faster and cheaper. Well, there's a couple cons as well for IPD. In CCDC 30, or party need to go through a validation phase. So in CCDC 30, there's three phases. It's validation. You have the pre-validation phase, which is not outlined in the contract. You have the validation phase. You have the construction phase, and you have the closeout phase. In what validation phase, the the owner designed the project goal and objective, general objective, and the construction and designer team would have to go to the objective and build up an estimate or build up a common project objective out of it or milestone. Um, that doesn't mean the owner have to accept the thing that the what the work that the construction designer team put in. So so virtually the owner could just walk away from it. At the end of the day, they could be like, oh, this is too expensive. I don't think I can spend that much and walk away from it. And in CDC 30, you are not allowed to claim profit on the validation phase, which will end up a lot of work and zero benefit. Second, there's no tendering process. You can only hire people that you are selected since the whole project is built by the construction team, I mean the GC team and the designer team, according to the owner objective. You can throw out owner objective out there and have people bid on it because it is not a spec or it's not a drawing, it's not completed. Everybody still have to work on it to conceptualize the project. That's another big one. And also there could be an inter-team conflict, or you have like one party that's really strong. Um, in IPD, the payment certifier is is the project team itself. So the PM team and the designer team have to certify the payment themselves. And the problem with that is you might run into situation where in between the team they will fight with each other. Where okay, I think I need to get paid like for this, and you have to do more work on this. It could lead to a lot of conflict that you don't have to, and that would be one of the really big disadvantage I can see with IPD project. Well, here's my presentation. If you guys have any question at all, feel free to email me at rickz.blackrock@gmail.com. I'll be more than welcome to answer your question, and this is the reference. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.